Chào mừng quý vị và các bạn đến với chương trình Tôi về Việt Nam trên kênh truyền hình FBNC. Thưa quý vị, với những người hành nghề kế toán, kiểm toán và tài chính thì có lẽ không xa lạ gì với danh vị CPA hay còn gọi là danh vị kế toán viên công chứng quốc tế. Và trong chương trình ngày hôm nay, chúng ta sẽ tìm hiểu thêm về danh vị CPA cũng như là những lợi ích của việc sở hữu danh vị này đối với quá trình phát triển sự nghiệp của những người hành nghề kế toán, kiểm toán và tài chính. Mời quý vị cùng gặp gỡ với nhân vật trong chương trình ngày hôm nay là anh Adam Awty, là Phó Tổng Giám đốc điều hành toàn cầu phụ trách thương mại của CPA Australia, là một tổ chức nghề nghiệp đào tạo chương trình CPA. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Happy
So
to be here.
really, how hard is it to obtain the CPA status?
The CPA status is not overly easy. We deliberately make it reasonably difficult for people to obtain the status because we want to make sure that those people who hold the CPA designation are of the highest quality. The CPA designation is a postgraduate level study. And it is requiring people to think and apply their logic as well as their technical expertise. And when they go into the workforce, their employers expect them to be the highest calibre.
Sure.
So we want to make sure that those people who do move through the CPA program are of the best quality possible.
So how does a CPA status affect let's say, a career development for an accounting or finance professionals?
Well, to give you a sense, there's nearly 150,000 CPAs around the world. And of those, about 17% of those are in Chief Financial Officer, CEO, Board Director roles. So the CPA designation provides a very strong career path for those people who are wanting to become senior leaders within a business because it gives them all of the business acumen, the discipline, the understanding of the numbers, but also how to apply them in practice. So the CPA designation is a very strong business perspective and it's very practical. So the people who go to the CPA designation are people who are actually wanting to have a career in business, in commerce, in the civil service, many industries, but they actually want to actually progress into senior leadership roles.
Right. So, I mean, to some extent, can we compare between a CPA and an MBA?
In some ways, there are some similarities. Both MBAs and CPA is a postgraduate level of study. The difference between the CPA program and an MBA is the CPA designation is something that can only be issued by a professional body and it can also be taken away.
Okay.
So if you do your MBA, you can't take it away. The CPA designation and the difference with the CPA designation is to maintain your designation, you need to uphold the values of CPA Australia. So that means you need to operate ethically, you need to be a very good citizen. You also need to make sure you're constantly developing and training. Our members need to do 120 hours of training over a 3-year period.
Sure.
If they don't do that, or if they do something misbehaving, you know, maybe whether it be fraud, corruption, very poor advice to their clients, they may actually lose their CPA designation. So the CPA designation is a postgraduate study like MBA, but it's something that can be given as well as taken away.
Sure. I know there are many organizations that offer an opportunity to get a CPA. So what is so special about CPA Australia?
CPA Australia, there are a couple of things that I would say are special about CPA Australia. One is CPA Australia is a designation that is very much focused on the Asia Pacific. So CPA Australia has 128 years history, starting obviously in Australia, but we have over 60 years here in Asia. So this week we actually celebrate 60 years in Singapore. So we have a very strong Asia Pacific flavour. At the same time, one of the other things that's very special about CPA Australia is that we do focus on the concepts of strategic thinking, leadership and international business. So again, given the fact that our members live and work within the Asia Pacific region predominantly, with 35,000 members here in Asia, we want to make sure that they're both thinking about the strategic elements of their organisation, but also how do they operate in an international business context.
So for CPA Australia, what is the roles of Vietnam's market?
The Vietnam market is a very important market for CPA. We've been here just under 7 years. In that time, we have now just under 600 members here in Vietnam. We also have 2 offices. So we have an office in Hanoi and also in Ho Chi Minh City. We have very strong engagement here with our local member community, but we also have a very strong relationship with the local professional associations, in particular the VACPA and also the VAA and many other regulators and bodies here. So we see our role here in Vietnam as one of developing the accounting profession and also supporting the local profession here.
So specifically, over the last 7 years that you are here, I mean, what are some of the remarkable achievements that you have made so far?
Some of the achievements we've made is obviously we've had significant growth. So when we started, we probably had around about 100 members. So in that 6-7 year time, we've now reached nearly 600. At the same time, we've signed many memorandums of cooperation and agreements with the local bodies, the local regulators and local industry. We've also signed some special arrangements with some of our partners here to make sure that we're providing good services to our members, but also continuing to develop and work with the local industry here in Vietnam.
I'm just curious, if a Vietnamese professional have a CPA from CPA Australia, what is the chance of getting a job in Australia?
CPA Australia is one of the designations that is looked to in terms of migration. So people are looking to migrate to Australia. Obviously, we're wanting to develop the accounting profession here in Vietnam. But if people are wanting to migrate to Australia or people are wanting to migrate anywhere in the world, the CPA designation is actually well recognised. One of the things that is valuable for CPA members globally is doesn't matter where you live or work, particularly in the Asia Pacific region, the CPA designation will help you with your next career move. So you may even find people, and we do have people here in Vietnam who have migrated from Australia and are using their CPA designation here in Vietnam from Australia, like someone might if they were returning to from Vietnam to Australia.
As you know, 2015 is coming, and it's supposed to be a year that we establish the ASEAN Economic Community, which is creating opportunity for human resource movement between ASEAN countries. So do you think having a CPA designation will add more competitive advantages to Vietnamese professionals?
Yes, I do, and the reason I would say that is, as I said earlier, because CPA Australia has been in and around the Asian market for over 60 years, we are 35,000 members in Asia. Those 35,000 members are well recognised, and the ability to move through the ASEAN community is much more benefited by being members of CPA Australia, particularly in the world of accounting and finance.
So what is your next plans in Vietnam for CPA Australia?
Our next plans, we are looking obviously to continue to grow the market here in Vietnam in terms of increasing our membership numbers, but we're also wanting to continue to partner with our partners. So the VACPA, the VTCA, for example, we signed an agreement with them earlier this week in Hanoi. We're wanting to continue to partner with the local industry here in Vietnam to make sure that we are being respectful and working together collaboratively to make sure that Vietnam, the Vietnam accounting profession is as strong as it can be here in Asia.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. Thưa quý vị, vừa rồi là những chia sẻ của anh Adam Awty, là Phó Tổng Giám đốc điều hành toàn cầu phụ trách thương mại của CPA Australia, là tổ chức nghề nghiệp đào tạo chương trình CPA, danh vị kế toán viên công chứng quốc tế, một danh vị rất quan trọng đối với những người hành nghề kế toán, kiểm toán và tài chính. Quý vị có thể xem lại đoạn phỏng vấn này trên trang fbnc.vn hoặc là xem lại trên trang facebook.com/tôi về Việt Nam. Thân ái chào tạm biệt và chúng tôi sẽ còn quay trở lại trong phần sau với những nội dung khác đáng chú ý.